episode of Zooming In with Gen Z. I'm your host, Haley Taylor Schlitz. Thanks for being here. Before we get started, I would like to remind you all to please like, share, comment, follow, and subscribe. Not only does this help you stay up on our fantastic conversations, but it allows the algorithm to do its thing so others can tune in too. Now, if you're Gen Z, stop scrolling. You need to hear this news. More than 1 billion monthly active users. Hear this quote from CNN. TikTok said in a blog post Monday that it now has more than 1 billion monthly active users around the world, making it the rare social media application not owned by Facebook or Google to claim an audience of that size. That's pretty cool. We have an army Google and Facebook can't claim. Snapchat's newest feature encourages young people to run for office. What's this about? Hear this quote from Blavity. Now, Snapchat is taking it one step further and making running for school board, city council, or legislator one click away. Run for Office Mini was created to help Snapchatters civically engage in a mobile way. With this new in-app tool, young people can explore hundreds of political office options based on the issues they care about most. Entering their zip code and topics of interest will connect users to candidate recruitment organizations, including Run for Something, Run Gen Z, and the LGBTQ Victory Institute, which provides training and resources to prepare for a campaign. Now, this is awesome. Almost could have been its own section during our Zoom In. It is so good Snapchat sees the value in and is encouraging with their platform civic action from their users, a younger population. I love to see companies use their reach to convey such important topics. Gen Z not only protest, but vote, stay involved with your policymakers after you vote them in, advocate for policies you want to see, but also get involved yourself, whether it be running for office or working for an organization that gets its hands dirty in the nitty-gritty. Gen Z's bucket list. The Michigan Daily calls us out. Rashab Shawn wrote for the Michigan Dailies a bucket list for Gen Z, a non-exhaustive list of all the things Gen Z should be able to do, but simply cannot. There is a whole list, and it is right here. It's kind of small, but there are a couple of the cliches like make a doctor's appointment or send food back at a restaurant that we just simply cannot do. I think from this list I have maybe 5 checked off. I mean, you guys should go check out the story and see how many you can check off. It's not a lot. Well, we have to get to the interview time. We all know what time it is. Today, we have a student activist who is speaking up, speaking out, expecting change, and being the change he wants to see. From assisting in campaigns to possibly running his own one day, he inspires so many others inside and out of Gen Z to be involved in politics and issues we care about. Hey, Stefan, thanks for joining us today. Let's see. I'll make sure before we get started that there's... Okay, can we hear you?
Me?
Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Awesome. How are you?
Nice to see you and hear from you.
It's great.
I'm good. I just finished joining the Texas Eco Alliance. They're a group based here in Arlington, but they serve the whole DFW with park cleanups and cleaning up our community parks that we all visit with some amazing people, along with Diana Soleil, amazing community advocate as well here in Arlington. So that's what I just finished doing, and I rushed here because I said I have to speak to her, and I couldn't wait. So hello.
Thank you for being here, and it is so awesome that you are here to talk about being an inspiration after doing inspiring work. So we're so excited to talk to you. I guess we'll start with more about who you are. You just graduated high school. What are you up to now, and how is that going?
Yeah, so I just graduated from Sam Houston High School in Arlington, and after that, I've still been hitting the ground running. Trying to do what I can in this community because I love this community. I love this city. I've been working with Councilwoman Ruby Faye Woolridge, and trying to do what we can to provide people resources here in the city. And actually, I plan on joining the Arlington Fire Academy. So that's exciting for me. That's what I have coming up.
That is awesome. That is so exciting. And
Right.
I'm going to circle back to the campaign that you worked on. I did not forget that in my topics I want to talk about. I'm circling back to that. That is awesome, though. Already inspiring, and we're only one question in. so, so the next question, as we all know, just after looking at your social media or stories, you're one of the amazing Gen Z activists in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Was there a specific issue or event that made you decide as a high school student that your voice needed to be heard, or has it always just been kind of something that you felt since a younger age?
Yeah, I think I've pretty much been involved with it really my whole life. Of course, as time has went on, I've tried to be involved in different capacities, but I think it really all started in 2016 when I was in middle school. I'm from West Texas in Abilene, but I've been here in Arlington for most of my life. But during my 7th grade year, I was at Mann Middle School in Abilene, Texas, and I decided to run for student council president. And that's the same time it was coinciding with the presidential election. The hyped and very divided presidential election that was happening at the same time. And so, even though, student council has can dictate our foreign affairs or our economy, I still ran my campaign, saying that, I want our voices to be heard because I felt like student voices weren't being heard and, to make our school a better experience. So I decided to run and I won. So I decided to, and that happened because I energized my friends, my community members in my school, and I was very happy to see everybody come together. For one thing, to get involved with school spirit and get involved with each other. So that's when and ever since then, I've just been very knowledgeable about what's happening with other people. I love to hear from other people and love to hear what they have going on and what issues concern them. So.
Yeah, it is so important, like you said, that we talk to each other, and running for offices, student offices, is so important to definitely convey what's valuable to us and make sure that we communicate and share ideas. It's also really important, though, to talk to other generations and make sure that we connect to them too, which kind of leads in a way to my next question, really. We all saw the news this week about the terrible act of gun violence at Timberview High School. You've worked on gun violence and safety issues, just in all of your work, from your own campaign to just speaking up and speaking out. What did you think when you heard about this news?
Yeah, that was very, very disheartening, very tragic. And, I hate to see that type of thing happen anywhere, but especially not right here at home. It's different when it hits home. And so Arlington, I believe, is really a different place. And we're having our troubles right now with gun violence among the youth, particularly. And, that specific situation was outside violence coming into our schools. And we need to stop the violence really where it starts. And that starts in the communities, with the communities not being unified, not knowing each other, not being aware of, what's going on. And that also goes into the quality of life issues about the people who live in those communities, in those neighborhoods. And that is the responsibility of our local officials. And so I think that if we improve the quality of life of these people who are living in certain conditions and get these people unified in their neighborhoods, then it'll do so much for them and for the city in general, to where we can avoid these type of situations and where people, can find ways to have conflict resolution and not get guns out of the hand of students and kids and be more responsible. I think that Arlington really can set an example of how we can heal from these type of tragic incidents, and we really should, so we can prevent it for the next time. Hopefully there's not a next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I really appreciate what you said about talking to each other and helping each other. It really takes your community looking in and healing and supporting itself. But as you also mentioned, talking to others and making sure that, we talk to not only other generations, make that generational connection, but other communities, and make that other communities connection as well. I think many older people really don't understand why Gen Z cares about gun violence issues so much. What would you say to them about our experiences as a generation and why everyone should care, really helping make that connection?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw a comment at a memorial concerning the Timberview High School incident. And someone mentioned that our generation has been desensitized to these images of gun violence because we grew up with Sandy Hook, grew up with all these other different mass shootings, whether it's school shootings or not, gun violence in our country, and our leaders not doing much about it, being politicized or it being, swept under the rug by the media. So I think that, like I said, with Arlington can set an example of how to heal from this. I don't have all the answers, but I know that we need to do something. So our generation and other generations, really our community in whole, seeing results for after this tragic event or another tragic event that is currently in the process of, being resolved. I think having actual real results will make, and seeing the difference afterwards will make everyone aware of what can be done and what the importance of doing these things are. So
absolutely, and I think it's really important, like that, the importance of doing these things. I think that's something that really needs to resonate with people. In order to take action, you need to really see the impact that you're going to make. It really gets people fired up, and I see our comments are like, amen as you're talking, and I can't help but agree. As Gen Zers, I mean, we're the most diverse generation that our nation has ever seen. What do you think that means for the future of our local communities, Texas, and the broader nation?
Yeah, I think that it means more inclusion. Well, at least hopefully, I hope that it means more inclusion. Of course, we are a very, very diverse community, very diverse generation, diverse in not only thought, diverse in, of course, different sexual identities, gender identities, race, of course, ages, and everything. So I think that our diversity truly is our strength. And our generation has learned from our history, and we are very aware of our history, and we're willing to learn from it. We're willing to not make the same mistakes, no matter how many things you take out of a book. We still know the internet lives forever, so we still know what's going on, and we know what not to repeat, what mistakes not to repeat, and we look out for each other. At least that's what I hope we continue to do for it going forward, because so far we have, and hopefully that stays.
Yeah, I agree. And I love that you said no matter what you take out of a book. That's something that I'm going to talk about later on the show, and it's so incredibly important to talk about. But like you said, you can't take the history of a nation out of a nation. So it doesn't matter what you want to put in a book. It's on the internet. There are a bunch of stories and discussion, conversation amongst. Sorry, there's a lot going on in the background. Conversation amongst dogs. Garage. We're not going to acknowledge it anymore. Conversation amongst,
I have a little sister. I have a little sister. I understand all of this.
I'm honestly surprised it doesn't happen more often during the show, to be honest. But yeah, I'm just happy the dogs haven't knocked over the lights yet, so we can be happy about that. But yeah, so conversation amongst people is definitely important. But yeah, just you were talking about diversity, and I think there's some amazing Gen Z leaders around the world, and at the same time there has been a growing discussion, like we were talking about, conversations about representation of voices and experiences. I'm wondering, how important do you think it is to have diverse voices speaking for Gen Z on issues like climate change, gun safety, education reform, student debt, mental health, all those other issues?
Yeah, we all come from very different backgrounds. We are a big country, we are a big community, and we're a big generation with a lot of diverse thought, a lot of great input from a lot of different people. And so I think that inclusion of different voices that come from different backgrounds, particularly of those in marginalized communities, they definitely need to have their voices heard. And those with a platform, we are very grateful that they have that platform, and hopefully they're using it correctly. But they should also, they should also acknowledge that there were people who came before them, and there are people who are already currently doing the work that they are championing, and uplift those people, uplift our communities, our local communities, our national communities, and people everywhere.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with everything you said. What advice would you give to other Gen Z members who are trying to find their own way to participate in movements that they care about?
Yeah. Well, for me, everything starts local. Everything starts local. Whether you're trying to get involved in politics, whether you're trying to get involved in, certain community organizations, anything, everything starts local. There are people already doing the groundwork in certain communities, and it is up to you to, find out where your place is, where you want to be involved in what capacity, and then you can grow from there. Meet the people in your community first. Meet the people who love their community and get to know your community more, and it'll go a long way for you and for the community in whole.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. I hope our viewers are taking notes. That is such a crucial first step. So highlight that with your highlighters if you're taking notes, and if you're not, why aren't you taking notes? Now, I don't know if there's a Rottweiler right here for those of you who can't see her.
Hi.
I'm sorry. She's so fine. Okay, next question. It's not about the Rottweiler. What do you think of Snapchat launching their Run for Office tool? Do you think it'll lead to more Gen Z members running for office?
I haven't been able to explore that feature yet, but I've definitely heard about it. And I've had some of my friends who are also politically active. They've made comments about it, have said people suggest them to run for office through the app. And, Snapchat is still a very popular platform. And I think that I'm very glad that they stepped up to do that. So I hope, like I said, everything starts local, and I saw that they added, the information about local offices as well. And so I really hope that it gets people to find out more about, what the roles of certain elected positions are and where they can fit in, where they can help. And so I think that hopefully it'll do a lot of good. And I think that it has a lot of potential.
Absolutely. I agree. I also haven't gotten a chance to explore it, but like you said, I've heard all about it. So I'm going to go make sure my Snapchat is updated after this and check that out. But I know we were highlighting the importance of local government. And I know that you have a lot of experience and you want to run for office potentially one day. You recently played an important role in electing a new member to the Arlington City Council, like I said, circling back to it. How did you get connected to that candidate, and what motivated you to dedicate so much time to her election?
Yeah, so anybody who lives in Arlington or really in the DFW Metroplex and is a frequent voter for the past decade, they know Ruby Faye Ward. And so she ran for office a couple of times. And when I moved back, because I was back and forth from Abilene, West Texas to Arlington. And so I lived here in Arlington, and she was running for mayor at the time. And I was very interested in her campaign as a 8th grader, I believe, or freshman in high school. And of course, as a freshman in high school or 8th grader, you can only help in certain capacities. You can't go full-fledged volunteering, but I was definitely interested in doing so. And so she was definitely on my radar, and I remembered her, and she left a mark on me, and it brought to my attention the importance of local government and what happens, in City Hall instead of what happens in Washington, D.C. or the state capitol, the drama there, So 2020 comes, and I was also already volunteering on another campaign, Lydia Bean, who was running for State House at the time. And Ruby Faye Ward, she said, "Hey, I just finished walking this neighborhood, amazing people I just met." And I said, "Hey, I know this lady. I need to go meet her one day." And so I went and block with her. And ever since then, we have been hitting the road and doing what we can for this city. And so we blocked almost every single day. Then when early voting came, we spoke to voters at the polls. It was record turnout because municipal elections got moved to November, along with, the general election, presidential year. So there were lines, all the way outside of the buildings at polling locations, and we were speaking to people, hearing their concerns as we block or poll greeted or phone banked, all of that. Just hearing from people, hearing what their concerns are, and finding ways that we can resolve those issues if we're so fortunate enough to get elected, which we were. And so after her amazing election, and she is the biggest vote getter in the history of the city of Arlington. Nobody has ever got more votes than her in the history of Arlington. So let's note that. So she is an amazing woman with her decades of community service to our city. And I'm very fortunate to know her and to, work alongside with her. So I'm very fortunate for her. And, what got me involved is seeing how dedicated she was to our city, seeing how real life she was, because through the internet, through digital platforms, we sometimes, some political candidates, especially in the political climate that we're in, political candidates or politicians are sometimes, dehumanized in a certain way where people, feel that there's a certain superiority complex. Her, she is a down-to-earth auntie. There's no superiority complex with her. You're going to sit next to her in church and she's going to be just the same as she is on that city council bench up there.
Yeah.
So seeing the authentic
Yes.
background, seeing the dedication to community service and dedication to our local community here in Arlington just really inspired me. So that's what got me involved, seeing authentic people and seeing true dedication to the local community.
Absolutely. That is so important. What one of the worst things I think is when one of many worst things that a politician could do is just be fake like that, or have that superiority complex where you could tell that they're not really in it to make the difference that they claim they want to make. It's more of the title, and they want to have that title because it makes them feel superior. So it's very superficial, very fake, and that really leads to a lot of other even bigger issues. So I really appreciate that you said that. And I think while we're on the topic, and I know earlier we were talking about generations and generational connections and conversations. I think one of the things that I found really interesting about the campaign, as I was reading about it and learning about it, was the generational difference between you both, Councilwoman Wooldridge, and you in the Dallas Morning News. You guys even joked about it. And I was wondering if there's a lesson that maybe the viewers, the people in the comments, the people who watch after, anybody who we get to reach, if there is a lesson that can be learned from hearing you guys' story of working together and making this very important change in the community, being this important presence, but also having this generational gap, and how you two connected that and how important that was.
Yeah, so a lot of the things I a lot of the things I say sound very cliche or very basic, but it's because we're so used to people saying them and not actually believing them. I believe everything I say. So we are actually stronger together. It takes all of us, So I think that her being very open-minded, especially, obviously she's in a different generation than me, her being very open-minded. Also, I think I'm very open-minded to, the perspectives of her generation as well. It's going to take all of us to try to find solutions to the issues that we face today, because the issues are not just going to go away magically. We all have to work together to ensure that, our problems are fixed, so the most vulnerable in our community can, have a seat at the table. They can have whatever issues that are happening to them, fixed or whatever.
Absolutely.
And so I think that really once you get over the obvious, maybe visual barrier that you can see if someone's older, a different generation, once you get to know each other, once you get to having common ground on the issues, and acknowledge that we're doing this for the betterment of our community, all that generational divide goes away. It truly does. And with her, you just have to go into things with an open mind, truly. So, and from both sides have to go into it with an open mind. And that's what we did. And we said, okay, we have a job to do, so let's do it. Let's get in there and do what we can.
Absolutely. I see our comments appreciating this bridge, and I can't help but agree with them. I absolutely love it. I love it. And as I was talking about with the Dallas Morning News story, you mentioned that you may want to run for a local state or, local or state office. I mean, any ideas on when that'll happen? Any details? We're all here for it.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't think anybody should ever take running for office off of the table. And so I decided to apply that same logic to myself, because it's going to take all of us, like I say. I do not have any current plans to ever run for office, but like I said, I apply that same logic to myself, that nobody should take running for office off of the table, because you never know when the time is going to be right for you to be able to step up for your community. And I'm more than willing to step up for my community if I'm needed. So when the time is right, the time will be right. And that can be sooner and that can be later. But as of now, I'm satisfied with the work that me and Ruby Wooldridge are doing. I'm satisfied with, the future I have right now with the Arlington Fire Department, hopefully. Obviously I have to get through all the things. But inshallah that happens. So I'll get through it, and I'll be a firefighter hopefully, because for me, community service and civic duty extends far beyond political. Anything political. It goes into speaking to our community, getting involved in the community, and trying to do what you can to uplift, doing your part. So that's what my focus is. My focus is always going to be Arlington first. My focus is going to be the people who live here, and then if they decide that the time is right, if I decide that the time is right, and I feel the need, I feel compelled to step up for my community, then I'm more than willing to do that anytime.
Absolutely.
But when are you running for president, man? Let's reverse this on you.
It's been switched.
Yes, let's switch.
It's definitely, like you said, always a possibility, always a consideration. So I have definitely talked about it a lot, and we'll see, just like you said, when the time is right, and when the passion and everything lines up perfectly, that'll be a great time. And also, like a quick plug, his social media is scrolling down at the bottom, so if you definitely should follow for everything that he's doing now, but to also stay posted on when he runs for office, follow him down there. And at the end, I will ask you to shout out any others that may not be at the bottom. So, but yeah, I always, before we get to that part, I always like to end our discussion with some fun questions. So, I have two fun questions. The first one is, what are you binge watching right now to recommend to our viewers?
Yes. Okay, so after I made the decision to join the Fire Academy, I feel very obligated to watch shows concerning firefighters. So right now, I'm binge watching Station 19, and I love it so much. It's a spinoff of Grey's Anatomy, but it's more firefighter centered. And so I've been binge watching that, and I love it so much. But my two favorite shows are that at the moment, and also Law and Order Special Victims Unit. That is my show, and I love it so much. So those are the two shows that I'm watching, but I like a lot of shows.
Oh, noted. I'm gonna go check that out after this. And
Station 19.
Yeah, okay, Station 19. Okay, I hope our viewers are also listening. Make sure, if you guys have seen it, put in the comments if you haven't, if you like it. But I have not heard of it, so I'm gonna go look at it. Station 19, I will not forget. And my second fun question is there anything in particular that you're reading right now that you really like and that you want to recommend?
Yeah, and I'm gonna get in trouble, but I just bought this book from Stacey Abrams, actually, so I love her. I forgot the name of the book. But so yes, I bought it, and I do intend to read it, but I forgot the name of the book. But basically, read any book that Stacey Abrams put out, because she's gonna save the world. She's gonna save the world. So anything from Stacey Abrams, read it, basically. But what about you? What shows or books are you reading? Both. Which one?
Oh gosh. I was literally later in the series, in the episode, going to talk about it, but this book is one that is of Hot Topic, and it's called This Book is Anti-Racist, and it is posed to be a hot topic of discussion, but it is definitely a book that is on my coffee table right now. And when it comes to watching things, that is a really good question. I'm not 100% sure. I feel like as a law student, I should have watched Law and Order by now. So I think that is next on my queue. I think that's something that I now feel the obligation to watch.
Olivia Benson is my hero. You have to start from season 1. The old episodes, old school. You have to start.
Got it. Station 19, Law and Order.
SVU. There's multiple Law and Orders, but there's Law and Order SVU. That's a little different. We got to go.
Got it. Taking notes. It's definitely on my queue. So I guess those would be the things, which for the viewers, I will get back to this in a second. But those are, I guess, the things on my coffee table or queue list right now. So yeah, but this is such a fun conversation. Thank you for joining us today. And before, like I said, I would not forget, and I did not forget, shout out your social media and websites or anything else that you think that people should check out or visit. Right now, this is the time.
All right, sure. All my handles are Stefan Powdrill, STEFAN, not PH, STEFAN, Powdrill, POWDRILL, and that's on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Google if you want to email me. everything. Stefan Powdrill. If you want to know anything about Arlington, I'm your person. So hit me up.
That is perfect. The Arlington representative.
Unofficial
Yeah,
ambassador of Arlington.
unofficial Arlington representative. It should be official. We should reach out to Arlington. Well, thank you for joining. This has been so fun.
Of course, yes. And let's keep in contact. I love everything you do, and you're an inspiration to a lot of people.
Yes, please. You're so inspiring. I'd love that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I hope you viewers also have loved that conversation as much as I did. Thank you so much, Stefan, for being active in your community. What you're doing is so important, and it is activating so many others, which is just as crucial. And we can't wait to see how you speak up and speak out to others in inspiring ways in the future. We are all following your social media now. But as usual, guys, we will close out our show with a segment called Zooming In. Let's take a look at who's being magnified for being magnificent. What's going on in Texas? I, myself, am a proud Texan. I love Dallas-Fort Worth, and I love the diversity in our state. And when you look at Gen Z, you can see a strong global future for us. But right now, older generations in Texas are demonstrating that they are having a hard time with the changing demographics in our state. For the past few months, Texas has made itself the front lines for everything from attacking a woman's right to control her own body to being able to vote. We have also been at the front of the fight on a group of adults attacking school districts for teaching the historical truth about our nation. Yay! A few weeks ago, I had on the amazing student leaders from Colleyville who were fighting to save their principal, Dr. Whitfield. Unfortunately, it looks like Dr. Whitfield will be fired from his job simply because he's a Black man married to a white woman and wanted to ensure that students learn the historical truth about our nation. Yes, you would think that's enough, but it seems other school districts saw what was happening in Colleyville and was like, wait a second, we can beat that. That's easy. So over the past week, we saw 2 Texas school districts, not 1, but 2, move toward book banning. In Katy, Texas, we saw parents lose their minds about the proclaimed Black author Jerry Craft, who is the author of the series New Kid and its sequel Class Act. He has won a Newbery Medal and the Coretta Scott King Author Awards for his books. Not enough for you? Well, South Lake Carroll ISD saw that and said, guess what? We can be crazier. South Lake Carroll made national news by their school board voting to reprimand a teacher for having this book is anti-racist, like we were talking about earlier, by Tiffany Jewell in her classroom library. They went a step further by saying they are going to review all the in-classroom libraries of teachers. So that's what a proud moment, right? Your Zoom call to action, you may be wondering. Buy the books and donate them to your community schools and classroom libraries. The books are not only accurate and knowledgeable, but helpful in teaching our students about who we were and who we are so that we can work towards who we want to be. Give as many of these books to your communities as you can, because we definitely need them. We can't let our country erase what we've done and been through. We have to learn from it. You can use the website aalbc.com to find a Black bookstore to buy New Kid, Class Act, and this book is anti-racist. Well, that's all, folks. Episode 14 of Zooming In with Gen Z is all wrapped up. Thanks so much for joining us today. Please like, share, comment, follow, and subscribe for more. Plus, when you do that, it allows others to check out our conversations too. In 2 weeks, we will be back here at 2 p.m. Central Time with some important news and an important person. An easy way to remember is 2 twice. 2 weeks, 2 p.m. Central. A shout out to thanks to Citizen Ed for providing us with this platform to talk about the issues we care about. And a quick plug for my dogs for not knocking over my lights. See you guys in 2 weeks. All right, how do I zoom out on this thing?